Tucked away in the dense woods of New England was a sprawling mansion known as Willow Manor. Built in the 1800s, it was a symbol of opulence and grandeur in its prime, but now it stood abandoned, cloaked in an eerie silence. The manor's walls carried the weight of dark rumors, of restless spirits and tragic deaths. Few dared to approach it, and those who did rarely returned unchanged. Claire Hastings, a young writer battling creative stagnation, stumbled upon the legend of Willow Manor while researching haunted locations. Drawn by the promise of inspiration, she decided to spend a month in the mansion, hoping the solitude and its ominous history would fuel her next novel. Armed with a laptop, a camera, and a skeptical mind, Claire arrived at the manor on a crisp autumn morning. The towering structure loomed against the cloudy sky, its broken windows and peeling paint telling tales of neglect. As she stepped inside, the air grew colder, and the faint scent of lavender lingered, oddly out of place in the decaying house. The first night was uneventful, though unsettling. The creaking floorboards and faint whispers of the wind played tricks on Claire's mind. She set up her laptop in the grand library, surrounded by dusty tomes and portraits of the manor's former residents. One painting, in particular, caught her eye, a somber woman in a black dress, her piercing eyes seeming to follow Claire wherever she went. As the hours stretched into midnight, Claire heard soft footsteps echoing from the hallway. Grabbing her flashlight, she cautiously ventured out, calling, "Is someone there?" The only response was the sound of a door creaking open. She followed the noise to a small study, where a typewriter sat on a desk, its keys untouched yet echoing faint clicks as if someone were typing. Shaken, Claire retreated to her room, dismissing the incident as her imagination. Over the next few days, strange occurrences escalated. Shadows moved in her peripheral vision, and faint murmurs seemed to come from the walls. One evening, while reviewing footage from her camera, Claire noticed something chilling. In the corner of a frame, a translucent figure of a woman appeared briefly, her face twisted in anguish. Determined to uncover the truth, Claire delved into the history of Willow Manor. She learned of Margaret Willow, the woman in the portrait. Margaret had lived a lonely life after her husband, Henry, disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Her grief consumed her, and she was found dead in the library, clutching a letter addressed to someone named Eleanor. Local legends claimed that Margaret's spirit never left the manor, bound by unresolved sorrow. The letter, however, was never recovered, leaving many questions unanswered. Claire decided to communicate with Margaret's spirit. Using a makeshift seance, she lit candles and called out to the ghost. "Margaret Willow, if you're here, I want to help you find peace." The room grew colder, and the candle flames flickered violently. A shadowy figure emerged, its outline resembling Margaret. In a hollow, mournful voice, it whispered, "Eleanor, find her." Before vanishing, Claire scoured the library for clues. Hidden behind a loose brick in the fireplace, she discovered an old, yellowed letter. It was addressed to Eleanor, confessing a dark secret: Henry had been unfaithful, and Eleanor was his mistress. Margaret had written the letter to confront Eleanor, but she never delivered it, consumed by guilt and heartbreak. As Claire read the letter aloud, the mansion trembled. The ghost of Margaret appeared again, but this time, she was not alone. A second figure emerged, a man Claire recognized from another portrait in the house. It was Henry. The two spirits confronted each other, their emotions palpable. Margaret's anguish clashed with Henry's guilt. Through Claire, they finally communicated the words they never could in life. Margaret forgave Henry, and his spirit knelt before her, apologizing for his betrayal. As dawn broke, the mansion seemed lighter, its oppressive atmosphere lifted. The spirits faded into the morning light, their souls finally at peace. Claire left Willow Manor with a story that would become her most celebrated novel. The haunting had given her more than inspiration, it had shown her the power of forgiveness and the weight of unresolved pain. Though the manor remained abandoned, it was no longer feared. The villagers claimed that, on quiet nights, the faint scent of lavender could still be felt in the air, a sign that Margaret Willow had finally found solace. Claire often thought of the manor and the spirits she had helped, their tragic tale forever etched in her heart. And she vowed to tell their story to the world, so they would never be forgotten. In a small, secluded village nestled in the heart of Punjab, whispers of a dark past haunted the air like an unwelcome ghost. At the center of these whispers lay a mysterious well, known as Kali Kuhi, the Black Well. For generations, it had been the village's dark secret, a site of unspeakable deeds and a vessel of haunting cries that rose with every wind. The well's legend was one of sorrow and shame. Decades ago, the village had been gripped by the curse of female infanticide. In an era of misguided traditions, daughters were seen as burdens. The Kali Kuhi had become the resting place for countless innocent souls, newborn girls abandoned to their fate. Over time, the village prospered materially, but a darkness loomed, festering like an open wound. The story begins with Shivangi, a 10-year-old girl brought to the village with her parents, Darshan and Priya, to visit her ailing grandmother, Dadi. Shivangi had always been a city girl, unfamiliar with rural life. She found the village eerie, the silence oppressive, and the eyes of the villagers filled with unease whenever her family passed. Dadi, frail and bedbound, spoke in riddles. Her ramblings about a curse, the sins of the past, and the need for redemption unsettled Shivangi. "The well must be sealed," Dadi whispered one night, her sunken eyes wide with terror. Shivangi's parents dismissed Dadi's words as the incoherent babbling of an old woman. But Shivangi felt something was wrong. At night, she heard soft, mournful cries drifting through her window. The sound seemed to come from the direction of the Kali Kuhi. One day, Shivangi wandered into the fields surrounding the village. She stumbled upon the well, an ancient, moss-covered structure surrounded by wilted trees. As she drew closer, a chilling wind swept past her, carrying with it a faint, sorrowful wail. Against her better judgment, she peered into the well. The darkness seemed alive, pulsating with an unspoken menace. That night, Shivangi had a nightmare. She dreamt of a young girl in a red dress, her eyes hollow, standing by the well. The girl whispered, "Save me." Shivangi woke up in a cold sweat. She tried to tell her parents, but they dismissed her fears, preoccupied with Dadi's worsening condition. Feeling alone, Shivangi turned to Dadi for answers. "Dadi, who is the girl in the red dress?" Shivangi asked, clutching the old woman's hand. Dadi's eyes widened in fear. "She is Amrita," Dadi whispered. "One of the many who suffered because of us. The well holds their pain, their anger. The curse has awakened." Over the next few days, strange events plagued the village. Crops withered overnight, livestock died mysteriously, and villagers reported seeing shadowy figures near the well. The tension in the air was palpable. Shivangi began to piece together the story. Through hushed conversations and old records hidden in Dadi's chest, she learned the village's horrifying history. Amrita had been a young girl who died under mysterious circumstances, her body discarded into the Kali Kuhi. Her spirit, along with others, had been trapped there, growing restless as the village continued to ignore its sins. One night, Shivangi was drawn to the well again, as if an unseen force was guiding her. She brought with her an old doll she had found in Dadi's room, a relic from Amrita's time. As she approached the well, she saw the girl in the red dress again. This time, the girl spoke clearly. "Free us," Amrita pleaded. "Seal the well, end the suffering." Shivangi realized that the only way to break the curse was to acknowledge the village's sins and seek forgiveness. She confronted her parents and the villagers, demanding they face the truth. Initially, they resisted, clinging to their pride and denial. But as the hauntings grew more intense, they had no choice but to listen. Led by Shivangi, the villagers performed a ritual of atonement. They gathered at the Kali Kuhi, offering prayers and lighting lamps to honor the lost souls. With Dotty's guidance, they sealed the well with stones and mortar, vowing never to repeat the sins of the past. As the final stone was placed, a sense of peace settled over the village. The cries ceased, and the oppressive darkness lifted. Shivangi saw Amrita one last time, her face serene. "Thank you," Amrita whispered before fading into the light. The village began to heal, its fields fertile once more, its people unburdened by guilt. Shivangi returned to the city with her parents, forever changed by her experience. She carried with her the lessons of Kali Kuhi, a reminder of the cost of ignorance and the power of redemption. But on quiet nights, Shivangi could still hear the wind whispering through the trees, a faint echo of the lives lost to the dark well. And she vowed never to forget.